if you've noticed a little fluid maybe on your garage floor, don't ignore it. Just a simple leak could mean some big problems for your car. Monday Morning Mechanic David Rogers here talking about how you can tell if your car has a potentially deadly leak, and he has some examples of that this morning. It's cold in the garage this morning, David.
It is cold in the garage this morning. Now you understand some of the sacrifice we make to keep you safely on the road.
I know, y'all work so hard while we're in the warm studio. Okay, so let's talk about this. You've got some great examples.
You know what happened here? Somebody came in and we were doing an inspection on their vehicle, and we found something that's just unbelievable, and I don't know if you can get this. Can you get that cracking on this brake line?
See, I wouldn't know that was unbelievable. What does that mean when you see something like that?
When you see this, basically, you know, what happens to our fluid is we've got good brake fluid here, and that's a nice lubricant. It protects everything.
That's what it should look like.
It should look like that. When it begins to look like this, Natalie, what happens is the brake fluid actually becomes caustic. If we had a few more minutes, I'd put some on my skin and show you a welt shortly.
No, I wouldn't want you to do that.
Basically, what it does, though, is it eats that rubber, and it takes perfectly good rubber, and it eats it from the inside out. Then what happens is
where does that fluid usually flow?
You know, it flows through the lines. It allows you to apply pressure to the. It goes through there. It goes to these wheel cylinders, which again, as you can see, have rubber components, and as they begin to leak, we lose that hydraulic pressure. In other words, the ability to stop.
So if it cracks like you just showed us, it would drip a little bit down, maybe onto your garage floor.
Typically, you would start to notice a dripping. Brake fluid's hard to identify again because it's clear almost, and so on the floor it just might look like water, but it might be a little slippery. Anytime you have any kind of a leak, it's critical that you get it inspected, because by the time that's dripping, you're losing pressure in those lines. This consumer could have easily been driving along, stepped on that pedal, and found nothing there and gone right through an intersection.
How often do you have to check for something like this?
You know, your vehicle should be inspected every time you have an oil change, and this is why we say...
Every 3 months or so?
You bet, and it's why we say to people, don't go to fasty, quickie oil changing places.
You say that all the time, so when you go to the right kind of place, like is certified in...
ASE, certified, master technicians.
Then you would check for this every time?
Exactly. They're going to inspect all components on the car and look for any safety items. And you have somebody who's certified and been trained for many years to do just that and to understand what they're looking at and what the potential risk is for your family.
All right. Do you have any other examples for us?
You know, just a couple more things to talk about in those kinds of inspections that you're going to find. Notice how we have some rust on this brake rotor, and we've got some pitting and some chunks out of it. You know, this is, again, something that's not going to allow you to stop well because you're not making good contact with the pad. It should be glassy smooth like this side is, indicative of a brake failure just about to happen. And the same kind of thing here. It's another rotor that's deeply grooved. We see things like that. I showed you the wheel cylinders. These are on the rear of the car, and typically you're going to find those leaking as well. When these leak, they get fluid all over the brake system on the rear of the car, and then you can't stop again because everything's oily.
The other more common leaks, a brake leak, like a power steering leak, what other kind of leaks
Absolutely. Might you see? You might see a transmission leak, and that could cost you thousands of dollars. Oil leaks. They used to tell you, just keep adding oil, it's okay. But it's not. You got to keep the pressure up. You bet.
Thanks, as always, for the information.
Thank you.
Learn more.